Abi from Slido, welcome.
Thank you.
You're at the end of a very long couple of days. Slido's been fully integrated into the show this year.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about trends and innovation, the session we did way back early this morning. But just how's the show been? How have you been?
Really brilliant. Been some great conversations at the stand, had some great conversations in the session, a lot of talk about interaction, event technology, that kind of thing, which, as you know, is my bag.
Great. And talking to David, the event director earlier, I was saying how delighted we were that we were getting kind of more of the floor this year, so that the focus on what actually happens in meetings, as well as some of the wonderful venues and so on, is a real kind of development that we can only encourage. So, and we did this session earlier on trends and innovation. What did you learn or discover from that in terms of the corporates who were in there?
Okay, so in terms of the corporates, there's a lot of, well, for corporates and agencies and everybody else who's running events, some of the things that I uncovered were the challenges around getting people on board with event technology for a start. Yeah. So getting moderators on board, how early can you introduce event technology into the event planning stages? There was a lot of stuff around, how do you get buy-in from people who are putting on, who are the sort of senior leadership of the events that you're putting on, that kind of thing, and great conversations all around. I mean, there's probably too many things to name here, but we covered quite a lot.
Yeah. So there's a sense that often the what happens in the room element of the design is far too late in the process. And there are so many things we could do. One of the lessons I learned from this morning was that we're encouraging people to engage earlier and ask better questions about how technologies can help enhance the process.
Absolutely.
So what are you seeing from that perspective?
So one of the questions that came from somebody that I already work with, who was in the group this morning, was about how can you get people involved in the technology from an earlier stage. And I think it's about removing those fears. When people arrive on site and they're gearing up to use event technology, there's often a little bit of fear around not wanting to download something, not wanting to to take part in it for fear of what's happening. If you can engage people from earlier on in the process, like right now we're working with a client who's got an event in 2 weeks' time, and they're about to send out some teaser polls through the interaction tech to get people already onto the platform, already using it before they even turn up on site, and that's really helpful.
And also for the designers, because that gives you an insight into their reaction to the topics you're posing or the questions you're posing, so you can really enhance the quality of the valuable and extremely useful face-to-face time. I talk about a ramp up to an event and a ramp down, and actually the ramp down merges into the ramp up to the next event.
Absolutely, it should
and
do.
And you continue that, and the texts are now available. So you're using Slido virtually for the show as well, in terms of managing feedback?
So there was quite a lot of stuff that happened beforehand, especially with the session that I did later today. We were encouraging people to submit questions while they thought of it before the event, and it meant that there was a lot more content going out on social media. Send us your curious questions, engage with the event before we get here. The uptake is never huge, because I think that, especially for for interaction technology, that people their thoughts only get sparked when they're there and they're listening to the content that's going on. But if they've got burning questions that they want to ask beforehand, then getting them involved beforehand is a great way to start to get them to start thinking about what's going to be discussed before you even get there.
Great. So thinking about if you had the ability to change one thing or have one thing happen in this market, what would that be? From your perspective, to get people to engage in technology and use it better and earlier?
I think that it coming in much earlier in the planning stages of events would be great. What we find is that quite often with event technology, people decide that they want to use it in the latter stages, so a month before the event. Whereas actually, especially in terms of meeting design, it's much better if you start building that in from the moment that you're engaging speakers. So the moment that you are, that you're signing a speaker up and you've got their topic, ask them how they want to interact with the audience. What do they want to get out of it? What are the questions that they want to get from the audience? And once that's in the planning stages, once you're on site, it's smooth as anything.
And great questions, because those are often new to people, who are presenting, who are just expecting to show up and do the same old PowerPoint slides and
Absolutely.
so on.
I think it's great for presenters as well, because when they start thinking about their presentation differently, that it's not just them turning up, doing their speech,
Yeah.
and then getting some questions right at the very end.
Yeah.
If they start building that interaction into their presentation, then they're going to get much more out of the audience than they would otherwise. And I think another topic that we discussed earlier was sort of how do you keep people engaged for the duration of a day,
Yes.
or even smaller during the duration of an hour-long session. And by breaking it up and adding interaction points throughout those sessions and throughout the day, it's waking people up, it's bringing them back to the content, it's making them part of the room again, rather than them being passive in the whole arrangement.
Excellent. And it feels really integral to the process, particularly if you include the speakers earlier and so on. I always ask my speakers, what's the one single message that you're trying to land with your presentation? What is in it for the audience? The so what question, how will they shift, change, react? And how does it integrate into the overall design of the event?
Absolutely.
So, engaging those people earlier, not just have it drift into the same old, we're too late, let's just do it how we did it, is a great thing.
Exactly.
Abby, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, I will.
We'll see you soon.
Yeah, we'll see you soon. Thanks very much.